Hello, I'm the Eternal Newbie. The extra L is because eternity is a long time, and I'm a new D&D player. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how I sold my soul in my second ever Dungeons & Dragons game and my first Adventure League game. All I knew about Adventure League going in was it seemed like a version of D&D Lite. So I made a character. Once again, I used online guides to help me, but I felt like an old hand at this by now. After all, this was my second character. I wasn't a complete newbie anymore, or so I thought. I was a pro. I ended up making a fighter, not because I really wanted a fighter, but because I didn't want everyone there to know how new I was, so I figured it would be easier without the spells. My understanding of character creation was not so good, and I really didn't want to ask for help, so I muddled through it. It took a really long time. Eventually, I finished. I was the proud papa of an old dwarven soldier who had struck off on his own. I didn't want my new Adventure League mates to know I was a complete newbie, so my brilliant plan had a part B. Shut up and follow their leads. People don't appreciate the value of shutting up nowadays, but it's really a valid strategy. We started in town, hired to escort a caravan down the Black Road. There were a few assumptions I made about Adventure League after watching online videos. One of them was Adventure League didn't like to kill its players. Have you ever heard that old saying about what happens when you make assumptions? Well, I can attest to its truth. We took off down the road with 4 wagons. One night we were attacked by goblins. The wagons were parked in the 4 corners of the camp, and each of us had taken to sleeping near one of them. The goblins attacked the exact opposite wagon from mine. The other guys who aren't level 1 killed them before I could even get halfway there. I was sad I missed out. But then I noticed the horses were still uneasy, so I looked for goblins, and I see one. Yes, I think to myself, I didn't miss the battle. I run up to him and smack him with my sword. I hit him. My first Dungeons & Dragons attack was a success. He didn't die, but I could see the fear in his eyes. This goblin is toast. I'm a hero. And then I looked up. Now that I'm in range, I notice 3 other goblins hiding behind a sand dune. They see me, and since the other 3 members of the party are all on the other side of the camp, they all decide to practice their marksmanship on my poor dwarf. 3 goblins versus a heavily armored dwarf shouldn't be a problem. I can survive until my friends get here. But these goblins, these evil creatures, must have spent their nights practicing on dwarf-sized targets. The first one swings and hits. Whatever. Then the second one hits me with an arrow and I start to sweat a little. The next one hits me, but for only like 2 damage. I think I just might be okay. Then the last one takes aim. He must have had his Wheaties this morning because he hits a critical attack. A max damage critical attack. That means he does double damage. That also means I took 28 points of damage. Now I know what you D&D vets are thinking. Eternal messed up on his character. Probably has on some cheap leather armor because no way 4 goblins would all hit a fighter. Well, guess what? I didn't mess up. I had the best armor I could and even had a shield. So I guess the joke's on you. But then again, I guess the joke's really on me because I died. I didn't go down. I didn't do death saves. I wasn't unconscious. I was D-E-A-D dead. Let's take a moment to appreciate this, shall we? Here I am in my second ever D&D game, my first ever Adventure League game, and my first ever combat, and I died. Now, most people would have let a little thing like death stop them, but not me. I did the only thing I could. I laid there not breathing while the rest of the group finished off the goblins. Then, something strange happened. As I was floating through the ether, seeing old relatives like Granny Newbie and Cousin Axehead, I heard a disembodied voice.
Newbie, your time has not yet come. If you promise to obey me, I shall return you to life.
Well, Granny was starting to yell at me about a pie I stole as a kid, so I took the generous offer. After all, nothing bad has ever come from making a deal with a mysterious entity that has to do with your soul. Am I right? So I wake up alive with my fellow adventurers standing around me. They ask me what happened, and I tell them. Then they ask me if I recognize the voice, and I said I didn't think so. The dungeon master had me make a religion check. Now, Eternall isn't a religious fellow, but he rolled as good as a goblin targeting a noob, so I found out who the voice belonged to. It was Tiamat. My lawful good fighter now owes Tiamat a favor. Tiamat, for those who aren't in the know, is a five-headed dragon goddess of evil. Not someone I'd like to meet in a dark alley, or a well-lit alley, and certainly not in the afterlife. So, to summarize, in my introduction to Adventure League, I died, and that was the second worst thing that happened to me. For all I know, Tiamat is still sitting out there somewhere waiting to call in her chip. Hopefully, she just needs a designated driver or something. Thanks for the watch, and have a great day.